Welcome to Domestic Violence Against Men, Awareness and Prevention. This episode is for mature audiences only.
Some women have been through a lot and they don't have time or the energy to entertain anything other than what they've overcome. So this will be very informational to men. Last night, we did have a conversation with a young lady that we allowed to come up, and she was pregnant. She said she was 4 months pregnant, and she was being abused by her man. She did not know where to go or what to do. These are the things that I need help with getting to women, because I'm too busy dealing with the men and helping the men. So for the ladies that have resources, please let me know where you can help and be helpful at, so I can send these women to you, because some of these women are coming over here to be able to hear the experiences of these men, but the women are broke. Some of these women are broken too, and I need somewhere to be able to send them. All right, I'm going to give you the opportunity to introduce yourself, Miss Dr. Yvette. Go ahead.
Okay, so my name is Dr. Yvette Battle. I'm a licensed psychotherapist, social worker, credentialed alcohol and substance abuse counselor, and I'm a psychologist of Christian counseling, clinical Christian counseling and psychology. I'm from originally Louisville, Kentucky. Rest in peace, Breonna Taylor. But I now live here in Yonkers, New York, which is like the Bronx, basically. I'm 1 block from the Bronx. That's where I live now. That's my intro.
Okay, so if you could you give us a little bit of your backstory?
Okay, so on April 4th, I celebrated 12 years of sobriety and recovery, because that's not the same thing. Neighborhood, my father, I am a PK, I'm a preacher's kid. 98% of my family on both sides are pastors, on male and female. My family is originally from Virginia. Excuse me, so that's right there in the Bible Belt anyway, but that's just the anointing on my family's life. I grew up, really, it's called Kentuckiana because it's right like on the border. So like a lot of times when we want to do anything, we go across the bridge to Kentucky. If nobody's ever heard of Clarksville, Indiana, most people have heard of Louisville, so that's why I always say Louisville, Kentucky. But so growing up, like I didn't really grow up black, if that makes sense. I knew I was black, but I didn't grow up, I guess, stereotypically black, which nothing's wrong. Like I grew up I look at pictures and stuff, like I was always the best dressed in the classroom, but that doesn't help you when you get to a certain age and you're getting around certain different, those things to fit the cultural norms. But growing up, like in elementary school, like I only went to school with 2 other kids that were black, and they were brother and sister too. I thought I have a little brother. He's 2 years younger than me. I really thought we had this like picture perfect home. We went to church. We was in church almost every day of the week. But I didn't really realize it was the age of 12 is when my dad abruptly moved out. My whole life changed overnight. I didn't really realize how much my mom favored my brother until my dad moved out, because I was a daddy's girl, so I didn't see the lack. My mom, now that I'm older, and it's sorry if I skip around, like now that I'm older, I tell this story different, right? And this is what I tell my patients all the time, right? In therapy, because some people ask, what's the point? There's nothing you can do. There's nothing I can do in a session that will change anything that's ever happened physically. But if you could change the way you think about what's happened, you could change your past. So if I get because a lot of times when I refer my patients, they were like, well, I got to tell my story all over again. But I'm like, how I tell this story now, looking back on it, right, I know that my mom got pregnant with me at 17. She was from a little small town, one road, everybody's my family. She was raised on the farm. Her mother moved out and moved across the street from her, but she wasn't allowed to go over there because the man she married was an abuser, and he said he wasn't raising another man's child. So her own mother's across the street from her. She got pregnant with me, and my mom didn't want to marry my dad, but my grandparents, my father's parents, because he was from the city, they came into my grandmother's house, because that's who raised her, and said they wasn't having a bastard grandchild. So my mom turned 18 in November, had me in January. So, and before she even had me, though, my dad worked for the railroad. They transferred to Atlanta. So she had me. Atlanta, compared to where she's from, is a huge city change. She had me by herself. Then they moved to Kentuckiana. When she got pregnant with me, she gained 10 pounds. When she got pregnant with my brother, she gained like 70. Wasn't able to lose it. Hit my mom, but there was a lot of emotional and definitely financial control. Like, she's been a housewife. She's held him down. She did his paperwork. I remember why my mom doing his test for him to get promotions and stuff. So if she wanted any type of her own thing of herself, like, what you gonna do when you got 2 kids, you live in a house, you have cars, like, I don't think people understand this. If they take a huge step, I did it myself, but to move from one economic status to another. Let me go back. So when my dad moved out abruptly, I remember seeing my mom on the phone, and she was talking to her. I knew it. I was in the 8, I was 12, so I knew what body language is. I know that's not just a friend you're talking to, right? So I remember her telling the guy friend she was talking to that there was a change of plans, that he was getting transferred. And when she hung up the phone, I'm like, are we moving? And she, of course, black, typical Christian Southern mother, she was like, you stay out of grown folks' conversations. So the next day I remember watching my dad move out. And I asked him, I didn't know for like 30 years later why he moved out. This is also going into 6th grade. So so where I'm from, there's a lot of redlining. So in Clarksville, like I said, there's barely any black people, maybe like 1 or 2 Mexicans, but that's all that was the most depth of ethnicity. But in Jeffersonville is where all the black people live, and that's where the projects are. And so for middle school, it combines. So not only it's 6th grade, 12 years, 13, that's a very critical age for every human. Like, your body is shifting. It's identity versus role confusion in the stages of development. I wasn't just around other black people. I was around black people from the hood. So, like, I used to get like, oh, she thinks she's cute because she light skin, or she thinks she's cute because she got long hair, when I didn't even know these are things I should think I'm cute about. So it's like, why do you talk like that? Why do you talk white? So I felt like I had to prove my blackness. And with my mom and dad going through what they were going through, my mom really favors my brother. Like, she favors boys. And so, my brother was in basketball, baseball, football, all those things. And he got so much praise about it, but I wanted to go to ballet. I wanted to do dance, but my mom wasn't into those things. And she always made me feel like I'm a very, very girly girl. This has been me. I'm a stereotypical female. So, but my mom's not. And I know now, not only is she not, she has resentments because of that. So I'm learning just period as who I am, a star seed in the earth.
That's why she didn't want a girl.
She didn't know how to be a girl to herself. Because her mom was, now I look back on it, she can't give me what was never given to her. But that is a 12-year-old vet didn't know that. And then plus I have ADHD, so I wasn't being medicated for that. So I'm looking for stimulation. And so I got into fights and stuff. Gave me an opportunity to prove my blackness. I started being very promiscuous. I didn't know why, because I didn't even enjoy it. It didn't feel good. And now I look back, I'm like, nobody stopped her. Like, really find out, why is this girl running away, no clothes, don't know where she's going. So they started putting me in juvenile detention. I'm literally in a cell with a steel toilet and a steel sink. Like, they sent me to a juvenile penitentiary. I had a state number. I still remember it, 967589. I was there 3 times. The last time I was there, it had to be the Holy Spirit. I got my GED because I was like 15. I had no credits. I knew I was not going to graduate high school. So that's where I got my GED, which is probably one of the wisest things I could have done. When I left there the last time I was 17, they basically said I was an adult, and that's when I came to Kentucky, and that's when I started getting into dancing, stripping. And at first I just did it because it kept me off the streets in the middle of the night, so it gave me somewhere to go. I was 17.
And how old were you?
Yeah, I was 18.
Okay, so I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
Briefly, every now and then I'm going to interject.
Yeah.
So, you were 17.
Why you even asked me about my ID? I was working a hole in the wall. It's like, I remember there was nights that nobody would come in.
Really?
And even I think about it, I remember the owner sleeping with me one night because I had nowhere to sleep that night. I was a child. But at that time, I had already told him I was underage. Oh, yeah.
So the owner knew that you were underage.
Yeah, and then even when I turned 18, there's some clubs I still couldn't work because I wasn't 21. But that's when I started working at. I'm sorry, I've had a lot of experience with my own people because I realized working in the white clubs was not the same as working in the black clubs. You're gonna do a whole lot more work, and they ain't just throwing away their money like they in the black club. But it kept me off the streets. And then I went to one of the best clubs in that city, and they had told me that I needed to lose some weight. Like, it was a whole different, like, these are not the type of clubs where you're going to be able to come in with no ID. Like, literally, you have to audition, and I've seen all the stages and the money. Like, you couldn't touch the girls. And so I got introduced to, like, cocaine and stuff. And I'll never forget I kept saying, like, I don't know how I'm going to be, I don't see where I would ever be in a position where somebody's going to just pass it to me. Well, one day I was in a position, and there it was. What's funny is that, like, when I started...
Can you tell me what the reason it was for? Can you tell me what the reason it was for? Like, as far as, like, when a person passed it to you, was it because they seen you were slouching and they wanted to lift you up? They wanted you to stay up longer? Were you tired? Or was it in the sense of, hey, girl, this is a party drug. We're going to party and have a good time. Like how was it presented to you?
You know what I'm saying? And I never really was a downer, but I think because I was always looking for something. Because I remember smoking weed even as a teenager. Like, I remember the first time I hit a blunt, and I was looking for the rush that comes from crack before I even knew what crack was. Like, I knew my body knew what I was looking for. And when I started with cigarettes, it definitely started with cigarettes. Because when I first inhaled off a cigarette, I was high as a kite. I smoked a whole pack in like an hour and a half after that. So that's how I look at things. My body was always, because like, that's what's so important. If your child has ADHD,
addictive mindset.
Yeah, well, you know what? I don't like... See, there's no such thing as addictive personality. We use that terminology. It's not a medical terminology. It has nothing to do... Personality is your character trait. It's who you are. Some people have a disposition for substances. Like, an alcoholic, you can build up to be an alcoholic because it's a physical addiction. But some people can drink once a year, but every time you drink, if you end up in handcuffs or you in a bed with the person you shouldn't be in, that's what makes you an alcoholic. It's not about the amount. It's not about... Some people I'm allergic to substances. Some people can take a drink and then they're good. Some people, it's not the 2 days later that gets you in trouble. It's the first drink. And so for me, I have ADHD, right? So a lot of people know ADHD means I don't have enough dopamine in my brain. So my brain is always stimulant. People are like, why do they give people ADHD a stimulant? Because our brains already need it. It doesn't have to be in genetics. That's also something that it could be. That means you're more susceptible. But you don't, it's not like a hereditary trait. It's not like you can do blood work and say, oh, you have this gene in you no. And again, like I said, I'm a psychotherapist and I'm a psychologist. So these are terminologies we just throw around in society and people just take it just like narcissists. People don't understand that's a whole disorder. Like, most people have never really met a narcissist. You might meet some narcissistic people. You might meet everybody that cheats on you is not a narcissist. Excuse me. The Adderall is a stimulant. So that's why, like, if I drink coffee, that's why you just saw me drink the C4. I can drink this at 12 o'clock at night. It doesn't calm me down. I hate when we use that terminology, but it gives me the stimulation that I'm looking for. So being that stimulation is actually the medication that's needed, cocaine is a stimulant. So I'm doing like these large rails of coke and everybody else is high. Let's go out like for drinks. I've never done that in my life. I don't like being around drunk people. I will drink if it's something to do again. But the rays with the ecstasy, the acid, hallucinants, it was such a beautiful place. The colors, people, nobody was like trying to push up on you. It didn't matter your race. It didn't matter what you had on. Everybody's just in there trying to enjoy the substances, right? The thing is that like I didn't realize where I was because I made so much money that even if I spent all my money on a weekend, I make it the next day. So I didn't know what it's like to spend your whole paycheck in 2 hours and now you're broke for the rest of the next 2 weeks. So I didn't really see the consequences of addiction. So I didn't realize where it was going very fast. I ended up running into my baby's father now. He's not my baby father. He had just hit a lick for a key, and I went from like this preppy girl that got high and just gonna be, and I had never lived that life, and he was getting very paranoid, and I'm telling him to do more. I didn't even know people got paranoid on this stuff, okay? And I just making the situation worse, and that's where he started hitting me and stuff. Like, he's coming in the house accusing me of sleeping with people. I'm like, Mitch, I just met you. I haven't left this house in 2 weeks. Like, what do you mean? Like, he was nice. We were young. We were high. His mother had just passed. I didn't know. Now I look back on it. And I ended up getting pregnant with my oldest son. I left him, and I moved back in my hometown. And the project is like 4 buildings. So when you have an apartment that's hot, it doesn't take long for word to get around. So all the church mothers that raised me basically heard about my apartment. So they came to my house one day, because my house was on fire. It was hot. And they were like, you need to go to rehab. So they took my son, Genesis, and they said, we're going to give him to your mom, and they took me to the rehab.
Oh.
And I went to the rehab. I slept for like 3 days. And then when I got up, I just kept seeing him. And I really honestly left, I thought, because I missed him. And I got out the place. I walked 3 blocks down the street. These guys pulled over. They had some drugs. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to run, and I'm just going to get this crack stuff out my system. And by August 13th, which is his first birthday, I'm going to go home. And that turned into 10 years. Like, literally overnight, I left a whole apartment full of furniture. I left my son, and I became a 24-hour streetwalker. I'm talking about, like, 3 to 4 days up at a time, crashing for 3 days, sleeping in abandoned houses, turning tricks in abandoned houses, eating out the garbage, tricking barefoot, just jumping in it. I'm like, how did I go from guys paying to talk to me for an hour, $200, to now I'm prostituting for $4 because I know I can get a dime? It's like, and this is why, like, people don't understand, like, especially with mothers, people have so much opinions about moms. Addiction doesn't care about birthdays. It don't care about doctor's appointments. It don't care about your, like, it will suck it all out. And that's the absolute worst thing, is because the maternal instinct is still there, but you got a freaking disease that's saying, no, we gonna get this. And I remember, even before that, I remember when I first heard my son, and I didn't think I could have kids because I had done so much promiscuous. I actually tried to get pregnant as a teenager because I know I wanted somebody to love me. And so I'll never forget, I had a dream I had a baby. When I woke up, I couldn't find it. I'm like, I ain't got no baby. And that's when I found out I was pregnant with my son, Genesis. And the day I went to go find his heartbeat, the day I got a sonogram and I heard his heartbeat, I came back home, and my baby's father used to keep the stash in the house. And I remember looking for it, and my mom was like, go sit down. You just heard your baby's heartbeat. But my hand was not doing what my brain was telling it to do. And that's when I go home, but my feet would not move. It was like they were literally set in cement. It was like literally not saying yes to things I wanted to say no to, like. And that's why I have a chain that's broken on my ankle, a tattoo of it, with my clean date in it, because I literally could not move. And I remember one time looking up, and I'm like, I've been walking up and down the street for the last 8 years, the same 2 or 3 streets, up and down, up and down, up and down, prostituting, jumping in and out of cars, running from the police, because then I started, which is so crazy. I have 110 misdemeanors, and majority of them for soliciting for prostitution. And it's like, there's a million drug dealers you could drive past, and they got something else. Oh, yeah.
Whoa. Can I interject? Hold up. Okay, was you throwing that number out of 110, was that like 110?
Like, oh, no, 2 felonies. I've been to prison 5 times. Yeah.
You've been to prison 5 times?
Yeah.
In 110 misdemeanors.
He's like, are you being
okay?
I'm have ADHD, so I'm very specific. I'm gonna be so.
Yeah, I didn't expect all. Yeah, I thought I was prepared.
I just want to tell my patients I didn't just study this, baby. I lived it. Let me see. Because one of the felonies, they put me in a place where you can leave and look for work. It's jail, but if you don't come back, it's an escape charge. But why would you put somebody at that point? You have like 80, clearly I don't come back. I have $1 million. I always get a warrant. I don't ever go to court. If I get out today before you can forget it, I'm not going to go. So it's like, it's a setup. And so, of course, I went. If you let me out, I didn't come back. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, that's what it is, actually. Same thing with house arrest. If you
just
jump
didn't
on
comply.
house, that's an escape charge because you're in jail. You're just not in a physical jail, but you're locked like.
Yeah, if you cut it off, if you cut off that band, it's an escape charge. And if you ever get locked up in certain states,
yeah, and the escape
they're
charge,
not going to grant you any bail
and
for
then
anything you do
that damn
because
thing on your
you have
ankle
an
like
escape on your record.
$1,000. You got to pay for that too. Don't cut that thing. But anyway, so, and then even then, when I went to prison, they gave me a year. I got out in 7 months and 21 days. But they gave me 7 months. No. After 4 months, they gave me parole. Right? Now, mind you, I could have did 3 more months to be served out. But they gave me parole for 5 years. And of course, you want to get out. So instead of me just serving out,
Thanks for the tax, Tom.
you do that. Like, why would you even offer me that? Because you want me back in here. So, like, now I understand the system more. I understand the recidivism. I understand that, like, even my teeth, like, majority of my teeth are gone. Because when I went to prison, like, if you're a state number, you are property of the state. So they have to make sure they check. You'll see a GYN. You'll see everything, which is actually how I got my mammogram. I had a huge lump in my breast that I wasn't paying attention to as a teen when I was going through this. But they have a dentist, and like, they pulled a lot of my, I have more teeth gone than I have left. But now look back on it, like, if it was a dentist out here, they could have saved all them teeth. So I just look at all those things. So anyway, my lifestyle eventually, I ran into a guy, because I didn't really like kicking it with guys, because it's like, you want me to do this, and that for a crumb, when I can just go make my money, go smoke it how I want to smoke it, the amount, because I don't play. I'm a very intense person. So I don't play with no little bitty hits and stuff. Everything I do is overboard. All I know is hot, because that was the mission every place we went. Like, I didn't really get to see a lot of the country because I was so focused on, let me tell you something, anytime you want to find something illegal, go to Martin Luther King. In any city, that's good. It does waste. And the lady was like, you have a lot of choices. I kept saying every week will be the last month, in like 7 months, you know. I was supposed to have my son on February 29th. It was a leap year. I can only have C-sections. So the night before the guy started getting hot with somebody, and I heard it, and I was like, I'm going to take a hit. I took a hit. It's time for me to go to the hospital. I can't stop smoking. They called the hospital, calls his sister, like, where's she at? So I called him. I'm like, I'm sorry. The father had to go out of town. He wants to be here for the birth. So they said, okay, come in tomorrow. The next day comes. I'm still getting high. Now, mind you, I'm prostituting and everything pregnant with myself. And I went to the hospital around noon. And at 5 o'clock is when they cut me open. And I'll never forget that. I remember laying there and I was like, what is about to be the results of what I just, like, I lost weight in my pregnancy. I didn't have food. Like, it was, so I'll never, they pulled him out. And the first thing I said to him is, I am so sorry. Like, that's the first thing I said to him. And, like, my food stamps had hit that day. The guy I was kicking with said he was going to go get me a sandwich. He never came back. So I just sat in that hospital bed for 3. That's where God met me. In that hospital room. Because I was atheist at that point. I meant to mention that. I didn't believe in God anymore. And every time they opened the door, I just knew it was ACS. Because here in New York, they test every kid. And they don't just test them. They test their first bowel movement. Because the first bowel movement tells you everything from the time of conception. Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that. So they test them to see if they have anything.
And I also had told them, like, when I was trying to be forthcoming when I was going to the doctor, when I had a chance to go to the doctor. But after the 3rd day, the lady said, are you ready to go home? I'm talking about nothing. I'm talking about I was getting high to the moment, and not a little bit. Like, nothing. My son is 14. He has never... I can count on one hand how many colds he's had. He doesn't have any allergies. He has ADHD, but that is hereditary. And it was at that point that I knew that God was real. I did not know that his name. So there was this guy that used to come around that knew the guy I was kicking when he was normal, and his name was Josiah. And it just sounded so bright, and it sounded so full of life. I didn't know it was a biblical name. I didn't know it meant Jehovah heals. So every time I've been saying his name since before I even had him, I'm speaking healing over him. Every single time. Josiah, and he's the youngest king in the Bible. He was 8 years old. So I just look back at all these synchronies. As soon as I had him. I didn't get it together immediately because he's 14. I got 2 of his clean. But I think we got caught shoplifting, and that got me an ACS case. I've had 3, and they're like, I think this girl has a problem. Back in the area, I got all these damn charges, and nobody's even thinking about. Which I wouldn't have went. As soon as that happened, it's funny because his father had been deported, and we got locked up in Tennessee together. They have ICE in Tennessee. We got locked up 3 times in Kentucky together. As soon as God put me in treatment, he got locked up for stealing some chicken so we could eat, and that's when they removed. Because God knew we were never going to get sober together. Never. I started going to rehab and like 5 days a week, and I was going to therapy. I was going to NA meetings every day. And that started my process. You know, I relapsed after 8 months. I was going to go like hang out with this girl from program that I didn't know was actually using, and the guy that was driving the van, because he worked for the parole downstairs, he was actually selling it to her. Like, I didn't know. You know what I'm saying? Here he is working for the rehab, driving us, because I was in a mommy and me rehab, and the whole time he's selling her drugs. So I ended up smoking with her. He was using before, because now you didn't know what it feels like to get your weight up, and you know what it feels like to be able to smell the rain and actually not dread hearing the birds chirping, and it's like you had life again, and now you went back out. You can't go back to unknowing once you know. So I ended up going to rehab to celebrate my son's birthday, even though I wasn't a patient, and they were like, "You're higher than groceries." I had been for 2 days, so I put myself back in, and then I relapsed after 5 months, and then I was on a contract. And they told me if I gave one more dirty urine, I would have to go inpatient with my son. And I'm not stupid. I don't like the word in anything. Inpatient sounds like incarceration. So I'm like, I'm not stupid. If I give y'all dirty urine, you're not, and if there's no bed, you're not letting them go home with me. But I'm the kind of person I push every limit. So I used, and I'll never forget, I texted the drug dealer and I said, I don't care how much money I have, please never come to me again. And that week, I had a dream that night. I'm a prophet. I had a dream that night. Wait a week. She took me to the office. She closed the door. She said, "Excuse me, bitch, you're dirty. Your urine's dirty." And I was like, "I promise you I'm done." She's like, "Yvette," I said, "I promise." I said, "Please take me." She said, "Yvette, if I go in this office," she said, "How much did you smoke?" I said, "Well, I had like 80. She said, you bought it, you smoked a 20, you flushed the rest." And I swear to God, to this day, she said, "Yvette, don't make me jeopardize my license for you." And it's been 12 years. And she's like, sometimes you gotta just do what the Lord tells you. Like, she took me in there and I ran with it, you know, and I started, like I said, I was going to NA. My son is a recovery baby. He's very clear in my story. And then I started, when I graduated the last time from rehab, I had married this guy I met in a shelter. That was a textbook narcissist. He's diagnosed. I called my welfare worker, and I was like, I just know I need to stay busy. I don't want to go back to using. And she was like, there's a welfare reform program for people that you might as well go to college. And my scores are so low, she couldn't even get me into pre-program. She changed my math scores. I remember, like, my first class, I worked so hard on this paper, but I got a D. Like, I didn't know how to cite. I didn't even know the difference between 2, 2, and 2. I hadn't been to school since the 8th grade, and I'd been doing hard drugs. When I got that D, I didn't like how it felt, so I sat in the tutoring station, and from that point on, like, all I got was A's, and I started getting, like people were, like, emailing me for scholarships. They were just throwing me money, and I was like, because I couldn't work and get clean and go to college. I never planned on going past my associate degree. But everybody kept telling me, like, Yvette, you're not going to go, like, this is 2000 whatever year. So then I got my bachelor's, and I kept thinking, well, maybe this is just a fluke. Maybe these are easy classes because it's an associate degree. But then I went to Lehman, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm still making straight A's. And then I was like, well, I might as well get my master's. And then COVID happened my last semester of my back. Instead of 4 years, I got it in 2 semesters. So, what is that? What's the bell? Oh, I like it, whatever it is. Oh, okay, cool. Thanks.
It's okay. Try to ignore the sound.
You know what's crazy? People think I'm so arrogant. Now I'm learning I'm a mirror. I am a mirror to what people don't do in their life, what they haven't done, what they could. Either you're inspired by me or you can't stand me. If you can't stand me, I'm learning that that's just the light of me. Because, like, people don't even know every semester I just knew was the semester I was going to fail. I was going to fail, and everybody's going to know I'm a fluke, and I'm not supposed to be here, and these are just easy classes, or I got a tutor, or somebody looked over my paper for me. But it wasn't until I sat for my license exam Because for one, I hit somebody with my car on the way there. I was a new driver. On 35th Street, Macy's, Times Square. Guy went flying over my car on a moped. I took the test. It was a 4-hour test. And every question, I just kept seeing a guy flying over my car. And the devil's like, how you going to be a social worker? You almost just, there was nobody helping me. There was no tutor. It was just me and that computer for 4 hours. There was questions on there I'm like, I know I didn't learn this because it's a state test. So there's some things that like one college might have taught that another one didn't. But I scored 20 points over. Like usually people fail the LMSW like at least once. But I know people have taken it 17 times before they passed it. So I scored high. Thank you. I didn't plan on getting my doctorate, but everybody kept speaking that over me. And then, like, even, like, places I work for, like, HR would email and be like, Dr. Battle, I'm like, I work for you. You know I'm not a doctor. My patients will call me doctor. So after I graduated from college, God told me to become a board-certified Christian counselor. And I'm like, why? Because in this world, like, my master's trumps that, and God told me shut up, do what he said, and that's what I did. And so I learned that everything I learned in college is biblical. It's literally, you change the way you think, you change the way you feel, you change your behaviors. That's CBT. That is literally what Paul, like, it's just a bunch of, my professor, he was white, he said this, a bunch of dead white men's theories that we're using, but Jesus and Solomon, they all said these things long before these theorists came out with it, right? Yes, I did hit somebody on the way to the test. Literally 10 minutes before I took the test. You can never turn right on red. But see, I kept seeing the place where I couldn't find parking. And I'm like, and the way they make it, which is true, if you miss the test, you got to pay for the application, you got to pay for the light. That's like $500. So I'm like, you know what? Let me just turn right. And I turned right, and this guy in his moped was right there. He went flying over my car. It was like some movie stuff. Like he went sliding across through. It was raining. Everybody was like, oh, and I was like, this guy was like, why did you do that? I'm like, I didn't mean to do it. And I ran up to him. I was like, I am so sorry. And he was like, I'm not mad at you. That's the first thing he said. And then I started praying. He was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm praying. Really big test. I've been waiting like 8 years to take it. And I wouldn't pass. But that was God. That was only God. But back to the doctorate. So then I just kept getting convicted of it. And the Lord told me I got my doctorate. But I haven't said nothing to nobody yet. I'm working on something else. Because only one person knows what I'm working on right now. I mean, because people like now, like I said, people like, oh, you're addicted to, now you're addicted to these degrees, but it's like, in order to be a therapist, I had to get a master's and a license. That's the requirement of New York. I can't just walk in an office. I was born to do this. I can do therapy standing on my head. But it's kind of like illegal to just walk in a doctor's office with no degree. Like, I'm not addicted. I needed a master's and a license. My case act is embedded in my degree, my substance abuse certification. What else I got? And that's it. I mean, I got a doctorate. I'm an ordained pastor, but he's like, I just feel like if you could change it, you wouldn't. And I'll never forget one day I was watching the movie Drumline, and there's a part where the majorettes are dancing, and I'm like, that's something I would have done. I definitely would have pledged. Like, I don't know what it's like to go to prom. I don't know what it's like to get my license at 16. I don't know. Well, I'm going to tell you why he said that. I don't know what it's like, homecoming, graduate, walk the stage, then go, get your degree, like go to college. I don't know what any of that is like. And like from 22 to 32 exactly, I was on substances, so I missed my whole 20s. I'm 45, but I feel like I'm more 35. And I'll never forget, I sat there and I was like, God, I want a redo. And I swear I heard God as clear as day. He was like, how dare you? A redo? I've gave you a story that has sold books across this country. You have done more in 10 years than some people have ever done in their entire. Like, I gave you your son back, which I promised you I would. I made sure you didn't walk away with not one STD. No, I just knew when I went to jail, I was gonna have everything. Like, and I don't look like what I've been through. Like, what? And if I didn't have those experiences, there's not nothing my patients, I used to be bulimic. I used to throw my food up. I dealt with I have so many, you don't have to have a substance problem to identify with something in my story. I dealt with not feeling like I was black enough. I used to lie. I used to lie about my ethnicity. I used to lie about my name. I used to make fake. I hated everything about myself. And it's like, there's not a patient that don't come in here that I don't identify with. And not only that, it's like, I wanted to be a cosmetologist. I did not want to be a social worker. Like, that's not what I planned. And when God said, how dare you, I realized that even though it's not what I designed, his ways are not our ways, and his thoughts are not my thoughts. Like, when I started using, like, I think MySpace, I post about my before and after pictures. The way I talk about substances is not just about my story. I am a credentialed alcohol substance abuse counselor. Like, so I give education on these things. And it's like, maybe, just maybe, if I seen somebody's story, because to me, when I first started using, I'll never forget, I came home from a rave, and my best friend, we were living together, we were dancing together, and she was like, I'd been gone for like 3 days, and she was like, go in the bedroom, and in the bedroom, there was a phone book, and it was open, and it had Jefferson County Alcohol and Substance Abuse Center, and I'm like, bitch, I ain't no crackhead, because in my mind, I saw New Jack City, like, I didn't know that, like, people don't wake up underneath the bridge. People don't wake up leaning on Skid Row. Like, it doesn't, like, I take that back. Because I actually have, like, heard people getting high with their parents, or I could not imagine, like, growing up seeing crack and seeing that what's going to happen to them. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, maybe if I had, because people have inboxed me, it's like, you made me think about because people don't understand, alcohol is actually the most dangerous drug. Alcohol causes more deaths every year than any illegal drugs combined, right? It's the only drug that you can die trying to come off of. If you are physically addicted, you need to detox underneath a medical supervision. Like, so, heroin, you may wish you were dead, but you're not, and so, when I share these things, people have, like, considered their weed intake. I don't know why people think you can't be addicted to weed. If you can't stop smoking to pass a freaking test to get a job, but you're addicted. I just don't understand. But maybe if somebody was vocal about these things, and so my assignment is to share this and highlight these things. And so, I wouldn't take it back. I can't. I wouldn't. And so when I told my son that later on, because he was at church, he texted me. He's like, Mom, thank you. And that was like last year. My son, like, I forgot to talk about that. I opened that, was it last year? And I just partnered, our college contacted me. So instead of, like, if a person was to get their Christian spiritual counseling certification through them, you would have to take, like, it's 2 or 3 years of classes. My 10 weeks, it qualifies for 7 of the college courses. These are the things, like, and I'm just doing it. And people are like, oh, you're addicted to, my son's like, Mommy, you really, really love school. I mean, if I'm good at it, like, why not? Like, what's one more paper? Like, do you know black women are, like, the highest educated, what's the word I'm looking for? Group in this country. We just don't get the credit for that.
Right.
Yeah, that's just where this group, like, even we have more degrees than white men. Black women are the most misdiagnosed for bipolar, when it's really usually ADHD. These are the things that I love. Of course, I love people. Like, not only do people follow me that had substance abuse, I got people that, like, lost their child. So I have people that say, my daughter, she overdosed, but when I watch her story, it gives me a chance to, like, watch her through you. You know what I'm saying? Or I have people that say, you give me hope that my family member might make it out. Or I got people that say, yo, like, if you could do that, then why can't I start this business? And then, of course, I got people that they never post, they never comment, and then randomly one day, like, Yvette, I watch everything. I'm like, I don't understand, because I thought social media, you should like stuff. But it's like, and then the people that don't never say a word, but they are inspired. Like, either way it goes, I'm just here to be a light. I understand that more and more and more now. I'm literally here on assignment. Yeah, I can tell you this, though, like, not using is the easiest part. Like, I don't ever think of ever ended up being, like, heroin addicts is because they're over-diagnosed to pain pills after a car accident or what have you. Pills are very expensive compared. You can't buy a $3 pill, but you can buy a $3 bag of heroin. So I always encourage people that it's easier to stay clean than it is to get clean. So staying clean is a breeze for me. It's recovery. It's the living life after that. It's having to pick up. I don't have none of my charges expunged.
Yeah,
they're there. Like, I can't expunge the escape charge. So I've never had a problem.
So you accomplished all of these things with 110 misdemeanors on your record and 2 felonies, and you've been to prison
5 times.
4 times?
But 2 times as an adult, 5 times as 3 as a child.
Wow.
Yeah.
That right there is that's amazing.
And I always tell people, I don't ever tell people, if I can do it, you can do it. No, maybe you can't do college. Maybe what you can do what God's called you to do. But I never tell people if I can do this, because that might not be your assignment. Excuse me. Everybody doesn't have the grace for that. I don't have the grace. I want it. Thank God He knows I didn't. No. My one child was like 20. Like, that's not what He graced me for. I don't know. Kids love me for some reason, but I'm like, that's not my grace. I got a friend that got 7 kids. Or what kind of? Well, my.
And that's good. Don't allow your confidence to turn into arrogance. I constantly have to preach that to these men.
My escape charge can't be expunged. And you don't get good time for it. So when I worked in the kitchen and stuff in the jail, I got like the full, like $1.50 a day. Escape charges can't be expunged. Yeah. But at this point, I don't even care, because it's like part of my story anyway. Like, remove it for what? It hasn't gotten in the way of anything. I mean, it's actually got me. It's pushed me into places, actually. I make a point, right? So in the 12th step, that's the other thing. I have started 2 recovery ministries, which we meet at 7 o'clock, actually. The 12 steps actually came from the Bible. A lot of people don't know that. Bill W., he was doing it in the Oxford House. Bill W. is the creator of NA, or Alcoholics Anonymous. The 12 steps come from the Bible. But in the last step, it's okay.
And where can people find this? If you don't mind, sorry, I'm interjecting you. Where can people find this? Are you willing to?
You can give your information. Third Friday in person, but every second and third is virtual. So I can give you the flyer. It's on Zoom. If you go to my Instagram or my Facebook, you'll see the flyer. Okay. So my Instagram is the Black Sober Social.
Okay, what's your Instagram? This is for the audience.
Or if you look up Dr. Yvette Battle, it'll come up. And that's my Facebook, too. They say Instagram, Facebook's for older people. I guess I'm old, because I like Facebook over Instagram. Because Instagram, you gotta post a picture if you want to write something. And I'm like, so, I don't know, I guess I'm old. I'm very long-winded, as you can see. I'm a preacher and I'm a therapist, so we talk. I need long captions. But what would I say as far as like an encouraging, like, I'm learning a lot in this season. Right now I'm studying a lot about metaphysics and quantum physics. And, right? So I was looking that church was missing the rawness, but the rooms of NA was missing, like, acknowledgement of the Holy Spirit, which is why I made the recovery ministries. I'm trying to figure out why I even said that, though. That's the ADHD right there. What made me bring that up? Oh, so when I started getting, like, deliverance, like, I had never seen that growing up. I had never seen anointed oil. I grew up in a very Southern Baptist church. Like, the deacons ran the church. Same person shouts every week. It was never, like, ain't no running, none of that stuff. Definitely no demons coming out. So that's why when I first started going through heavy deliverance, I knew it was real, because I'm like, this is not a learned behavior. I had never even seen it in the church I was at. I thought something was wrong. I'm like, why am I always on the floor? So that's another thing that really helped me. Like, it was to the name of Jesus that demons literally had to come.
Talking about Christianity and the Bible and.
Yes. So
and you was answering the questions in the comments.
So back in like December, my ex-husband, which, he decided to, I had a candle burning, and he decided to go on Facebook Live and call me a witch, knowing my church status, knowing everything of my influence. Now, mind you, like, we had already been separated for like a year. And it did exactly what, well, initially, because I'm like, I didn't know he had went live. We went from, oh, yeah.
So, out of everything you've been through, can you give us the worst thing while you were at your lowest that you witnessed? Something that you feel you may still struggle with, that you saw throughout your time of struggles and pain and sorrow.
I don't.
Okay. Well, can you name the worst worst thing that was the worst?
I will share, and I don't. I put it in a book. That's the only reason why I'm going to say it anyway. No. It's very bad. But so there was this guy that came up to me one day, and I was geeking, like and he had these box of kittens, right? And he told me that because there's a university college, medical university college near there, the kittens were half like platypus or something. Anyway, I was like really younger and I was high. But anyway, I was in my 20s. He said in order, like a snake won't eat something that's dead, it has to be alive, but it needs to be paralyzed. So he told me like he weighed too much, that I had to stand on like the cat's like back in between their shoulder blades, which would make them paralyzed. And I did that, and it did make them flatten out, but then it got back up and I had to do it again. And I'm saying it like, I don't say like freely, but because I can't stand in my place, but stuff like that, mind you, that like I cry on commercials. Like I cry if I hear this. My pastor's daughter, when she sings, she could sing Mary Had a Little Lamb. I cry because my frequency understands she was put here for that. So for me to be able to do that, it just lets me know that like when people say what they would never do, under the right or the wrong circumstances, we're all capable of everything. Get high. I didn't want to. I was being controlled by a substance and a spirit. So here's the thing. People don't like, in order for me to help people, I can't just tell, I prostituted, okay. But yeah, there's some dark things that happen. And so here's another thing. Like there's two different type of street girls, right? There's some people like, you ever met somebody that lies for no reason or steals and they ain't got to? Like, I've met girls when we were out, I'm like, why are you taking his stuff? He's already given it to us. Some people, it's just who they are. And then sometimes you've just been out there so much. I've been given fake drugs. I've been given bread. I've been given crackers. I've had guys take their money back after I didn't do what I had to do. I literally had to jump out of a car on the highway. He kept driving. He never turned around or anything. He don't know about, to his family, he don't know about God or anything. I was dashed because basically he was telling me I had to give him some top in order to get dropped off. And then we just got to the point where I realized that like we're driving and the only other exits are other highways. And I'm just like, I might not make it back. And so I took my chances and I jumped out the car. I don't know why I thought jumping out I was going to land on my feet. I've been up for days. I did not land on my feet. I went rolling down. I'll never forget I hit my head twice. I remember bang. I rolled again. Bam. And I remember all these weird thoughts. I think I had a concussion. I'm giving it back. And so that is why, like, I go into I can't make amends to everybody. Like, I can't go back to the neighborhoods I used to prostitute in front of people's houses. Kids used to see me. I can't make amends, so I do that by giving service. I do it by doing these interviews. I do that by tomorrow. I was supposed to go into rehab yesterday, but I called out work because I cut my foot open. So I'm going next Wednesday to a rehab to speak. Like, that's how I give it back. That's how I give it back, by keeping it real. Because it opens the door to be like, oh, damn, I thought I'm the only one that did something crazy like that. Or, damn, I thought, my son, like, he don't remember me smoking crack, but there's times I held him with one hand and had the pipe in the other. Like, I wanted to be a mom, but I was addicted. Like, I don't think people really, really understand addiction is control, and it's spiritual. Also. Oh, that just made my Joe. Thank you, Joe. I'm really big on numbers. God talks to me through numbers all day long. 2 is about alignment and connections and partnership. 6 is family and connection. So 66 when I read his comment from Joe. Thank you, Joe. I was literally born at a portal. I was born at 808. It's a prophetic number. I never knew that till recently. You know, Albert Einstein said, the more I study science, the more I believe in God. Yeah, I would never work at a rehab. I would never, not 9 to 5. That's very draining. Like, cause you gotta match energy. Like, you can't. Well, I'm a very confrontational therapist. I'm not a coach. I tell people, like, I'm not here to make you. I'm here to help change the way you think. So I might make it feel real relaxed. We make key, but I'm gonna say, like, sis, I don't think that was the best move for you. Like, so working shit, being manipulative, because it's part of the disease. I remember, like, relapsing and getting mad because, like, how dare you not take this doctor's note that I went to the hospital after I got high, but then I took my son to the hospital, so I give you a doctor's note. How dare you not believe my lie? Like, I don't have time for that. I don't even want to call it tough love. I want to say I'm doing my job as a therapist. I hear people say all the time that, like, they have therapists that don't even talk back or just say, you know, just how does that make you feel? That's not changing the way people think. I didn't know that. So I've had patients literally say, thank you. Like, Yvette, I know you're calling me out on my shit. People that want to get better, they want that. So I don't know if I call it tough love. My job is just to mirror what you're saying you want, if it's matching. And also, like, so here's another thing, right? When it comes to therapy, right? And that's why I said earlier that, like, you can't. That's why I went to the topic of quantum. Let's say we all have trauma, right? Some of us, when we hear trauma, we think of, like, witnessing a murder. We think of being raped. But trauma is also like losing a job, a divorce. But there's actually even positive traumas. Like, having a baby is trauma to your body. It's trauma to your life. You're never, like, getting married is a form of trauma because now you're a whole different life. Even changing, like, offices, getting a promotion. So let's go back. Let's say, but here's the thing. Life doesn't stop, right? So I've sat in this office and cried my eyes out and had to call somebody's name. Because I still got to work, right? And so your body has to suppress it enough so you can live, right? But it becomes maladaptive when you just keep absorbing these hits, but nothing's going out. So if I broke my finger, no matter what, my finger is going to heal because it's cells. But it's going to heal. You suppress it because it was too much to deal with. But see, now you're like wondering, why do I have an attitude with why I keep getting fired? Why do I cuss out the busser? Why am I cussing out the lady that's helping me at the counter at the grocery store? Because you have all these unresolved issues over years and years and years of anxiety and depression. You know, like, anxiety is actually here to help you, right? If I'm walking down the street and I notice when I make a left, this person makes a left. And when I went to the store, he made it. Anxiety should tell me something's not right. But it becomes maladaptive when it becomes, like, now you're over analyzing every possible outcome. Getting married is a form of trauma because we have to understand what trauma is. Trauma in crisis is any shift in your life that can go left or right. So even if I get a promotion, like this job, right? I start working here in November. I had to learn a whole new system. I had to learn the programming for the E8 for putting the notes in. I had to learn that's trauma to the black. Even though I make more money, even though it's a young adult black man. Yes, you do. Which goes back to the quantum. I'm really big on metaphysics. I'm telling you, because when I'm learning, going back to the situation with my ex-husband, right? Everything is energy, right? So when people send stuff your way, whether or not if I'm sitting in a room and I'm gossiping about somebody, right? And if I'm talking about something I heard about somebody and it's changing the way people think about them, for one, that's manipulation. And the Bible says manipulation is witchcraft. That's witchcraft. But if the person doesn't deserve what you're sending to them and you don't feed, so when my ex-husband did what he did, I went in his Facebook and Instagram and found out a whole lot of things. And I could have posted the stuff. But God said, don't you say a word. Don't you defend yourself. You will not match energy. Here's the thing. When you do something to harm somebody, and if they don't deserve it, and they don't feed back, the energy has to go somewhere. The months that I chose not to talk back, it was way bigger. I can't get to everything that happened. I have a mentor, and he's like, Yvette, you just pushed your life forward years by choosing to crush my flesh and stick to the script. So, it don't feel good. Okay, I don't know. Okay. That right there. If a person who sets out with good, here's the thing too. When he came against me, I'm doing God's work. Every day I get a text or inbox. Can you pray for this person? Can you talk to this girl? She wants to go to rehab. I do it with my patients, right? You're not coming against me. You're literally trying to stop something that helps people on a daily basis. I have prayed for people, and God's like, you're wasting your time. What has to happen is a consequence. They need to feel this. I've literally, God, make sure, he's like, what? So sometimes we think that, like, I will look for one like, or I will look, why didn't my pastors like it, or why didn't this person? And God just said what you just said. He said, by you, for one, I didn't call you to them. He says, by you worrying about them, you are disrespecting the ones who have showed up for you.
But you got to stand on it, because if they don't understand that it hurts, they're going to keep doing it. They're going to, because they don't know that the pain is real. They don't even know it's here. You're hiding it very well. You've been hiding it for a long time. You can't hide it anymore. You have to choose not to hide it anymore, because you're doing a disjustice to the person that don't even know you're hurting. How can they understand that you're hurting? At least give them a chance to see that you're hurting. But once they see that you're hurting, and they're showing that they don't care, you got to step away. Yeah, you got to, because they're showing you they don't care. They don't care. When whole time you're the person that if a person cries to you, even though they did something wrong to themselves, if they cry to you and they tell you, hey, I'm hurting, you're not going to look at them and say, well, you shouldn't have did what you did. Oh, well.
Right. Actually, it's explaining how God is science. That was my dissertation for my doctorate. And then it was all necessary. You know what, 21 Savage? I've never been on here before. Like, I just need now it's another app for me to be scrolling. I don't know if I should do that.
Yeah, you just did a whole hour. So that's good. If you do about 2 hours a day, you can do 30 minutes in the morning, 30 minutes in the afternoon, evening, and night. You can make some money on here, and you also can save lives. So
you know what? I think I will go to my prayer closet, which is right here all day long, and ask him. Thank you for having me. Have a good one. God bless.
Well, I appreciate you for sure.
Bye.
You did a great service for us. Thank you. All right. Goodbye.